friends, welcome back to Handmade Now Hallmark. I got another really fun Halloween card for you today featuring some Fawn products. This card is a fun shadow box card. It's somewhat plain on the outside, and then on the inside you have this fun dimensional scene. It is super easy to create and I can't wait to share it with you. So this is what we're going to create. I did a lot of practicing ahead of time. I followed Jennifer McGuire's video. I'll make sure to link it up here for you all so you can follow her video as well. So we're just going to start out with a regular 8.5 by 11 sheet of cardstock. This could be any color that you like. It could be plain white. If you want to ink on it later, you can. I wanted mine to be black because this is a Halloween card. And we're going to cut it in half like we normally would to create any kind of card base. So I've got my two pieces here, and you're going to need some sort of scoring tool or scoring pal, anything like that, to help you score the cardstock. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to score at 4 1/4, just like we would to create an A2 sized card base. Just like we normally would, this will be a side folding A2 sized card. There's also a version to create a top folding shadow box card, and that's also in Jennifer's video. I prefer the side folding card myself. Once we do that, we're going to trim off about 1/2 inch off of one side of our card base here. And this is going to be the back part of our card base, and you'll see why we're going to trim that off here in a little bit. So we've got an A2 size card base with the back portion trimmed off at 1/2 inch. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to score and die cut our second part to our little box. The first score line is going to be at 1/2 inch. Get that scored nicely. The second is going to be at our normal 4 1/4, and then the last one's going to be at 4 3/4. And this is going to help us create our little box that's going to be our scene. So the first score line is 1/2, second 4 1/4, and the last is 4 3/4. Once we have that all done, we're going to trim off just a hair off of the one side that's just the 1/2 inch side. And this is going to help the shadow box kind of come together a little bit nicer, just so you have a little bit of wiggle room. Next, I'm going to reinforce all of those folds with my bone folder here to create our actual box for our card. I created a card like this several years ago whenever I saw her video come out, and I believe it's been quite a few years, and I never shared it on YouTube. This was way before I was doing YouTube videos, and I just loved how it turned out. I created a card for my dad, I think for Father's Day, using this design. So next you want to create a window, and you can use any dies that you have. You know, you can use dies. If you don't have any dies, you could just cut out a rectangle or any kind of shape that you want. I'm using these arch dies from MFT. I believe these are their inside out stitch STAX dies. That's such a mouthful. I ended up actually kind of cutting mine on the wrong side. So my stitching is on the wrong side. So what you're going to want to do is whenever you cut it out, you're going to want to have it so that the flap that doesn't have any folds in it is on your right hand side. So I do apologize that I cut that out the wrong way, but you do it a couple of times and you really get it figured out. So I think I was just kind of in a hurry. So next, I wanted to decorate my panels before I assembled the box. It is so much easier to do any kind of decorating or adding of things before the box is assembled completely. You don't want to try to do all that after it's assembled because it can get complicated and you can just get frustrated. So I highly recommend doing any kind of decorating, ink blending, stamping, all of the goodies before you assemble the actual shadow box. I am using the FANGTASTIC Friends and FANGTASTIC Friends add-on stamps from Fawn. This is from their new fall and winter release, and these bats are so adorable. I love them so much, and I knew I had to use them in a card featuring their new moon stencils. I probably didn't say the name right, but it's their new moon stencils, and I just love this moon stencil so much. You'll see whenever I use it here that it is so easy to use. But what I wanted to do on the front of my card is I wanted to create just a simple little greeting on the front so that whenever they open the card, the wow factor is on the inside. Not that you couldn't decorate the outside just as beautifully as you could on the inside. I just personally wanted it to kind of really shine when they open up the card. So I'm just stamping down these images with some Versamark ink. And then I'm going to heat emboss with some Brutus Monroe Alabaster White embossing powder. And that Happy Halloween greeting is actually all together in one, and I just trimmed it apart. I did some stamp surgery. It doesn't hurt the stamps. You can still use them the way they were intended, just butting them back up against each other. And I love the way that this looked on the front here. I'm always really hesitant with using black cardstock because I feel like everything clings to it really well. I haven't noticed it a whole lot with other colors of cardstock. I've just noticed it with black cardstock. I don't know if it's a branding thing or if it's just the way that black cardstock's made, but I feel like everything sticks to it. I don't know, maybe that's just me. I wanted to add this little spider here hanging down, but I wanted it just to hang off of the letter H, and I didn't want it to be super long, so I kind of fussed with the way that I stamped it, and then I just brushed away the embossing powder that I didn't want, and anywhere that the ink was left over, it will dry clear and you'll never see it. So that's how I kind of edited the line on the spider without having to cut the stamp. Now you could mask it and, you know, put some post-it tape over it, but I just kind of fudged it a little bit. And once it's completely dry and you buff away all of the leftover powder, you don't even see any of those marks left behind. So I'm just going to reinforce that fold again, and I'm going to work on the ink blending for my background panel that's going to go on the inside of my shadow box. So again, I do recommend any kind of ink blending. If you want to insert a panel or you want to actually ink the back of the panel, anything like that, you can do so before you assemble the box. So all I did was I just kind of traced around on my piece of Bristol cardstock here where my window was going to be at. So I kind of had an idea of where I wanted to place the moon. I wanted it to be kind of off to the side, so it wasn't super distracting, just kind of looked like it was coming in from the side of my little scene here. And I'm just kind of masking off the little stars and things so I don't get any ink where I don't want it. I'm using Hickory Smoke Distress Oxide ink. This is a really nice light ink, and I think it works perfectly for this moon. Once I get all of the other colors added in, I really think it shines. You could, again, color this any way that you like. I have seen a lot of different design options for this moon. There's so many moon stencils out on the market now. I think Tim Holtz has one too, which is really popular. So use any moon stencil that you want. If you don't have a moon stencil, you can easily create one using circle dies or cut out a circle and make a mask, and you can create a moon just as easily without having to use the dies or any kind of stencils or anything like that. I'm going around, I'm going to use these accessory kind of stencils to create the actual craters for the moon, and I thought it was so cute. I can't wait to use this for Christmas cards, you guys. I have an idea already, and I'm so excited to use it. I think it's going to look so, so pretty for Christmas. I'm just super excited. I know I'm talking about Christmas. We're not into October yet. We haven't even hit Halloween, but this is the time of year that I start planning my Christmas series. So the colors that I'm going to use to create my kind of moody, spooky sky, I've never done a sky like this before. I've watched a ton of people create these kind of glowing moon cards, and I kind of followed their lead with this. I'm using tumbled glass to start with, just to go around the outside of the moon to get that actual glow. And then I'm going to go in with the wilted violet and then the chipped sapphire and then finally the black soot. At first, it looks like a hot mess. Like, I'm not going to lie, when I was doing this, I really felt like this wasn't going to work. And I wasn't going to figure this out, and it was just going to keep looking horrible. But once you really get the black soot in there and you really kind of go back and forth and you just keep blending and blending until you get it right where you want it, it really does come together. I was really surprised. I really thought that I screwed it up and I was going to have to start over and try something else. But I stuck in there and I kept trying, and I really did like the way that it turned out. And it's covered up enough in the card that, you know, if I had any mistakes or blemishes or anything like that, you wouldn't see them anyway. But I did like the way that it turned out. I think it turned out really, really cute. Again, going in with that black soot really really makes it shine. And then adding some little sparkles, some stars. I added some white splatter to create kind of stars, and I think it turned out just fine. Finishing off with that black soot, and we've got our Moody Moon here, and I'm just going to leave that stencil on there because I didn't want to get any splatters on my moon itself. And I'm just using some white gouache and some of my homemade kind of like shimmer spray, I guess. I just used some Perfect Pearls and some water and put it in a spritzer bottle. And I'm just going to splatter all over the background, and you can see that it creates a really nice shiny starry sky. While that was drying, I got all my pieces together here, and you can see what kind of a cool box we're going to create. And this is when I realized that I kind of I had it folded wrong. So all I had to do is I just had to change the way that I had reinforced my score lines. So I just folded them the other way and got it stuck down in there. Once you get it kind of cut apart and you get the score lines put in there, you can kind of see how it goes together. So on the skinny side, we're going to add some score tape. Now, I do recommend using score tape or any other kind of really strong adhesive. Liquid adhesive is good. You could use that as long as it's a nice fast drying, because you don't want it to ooze out where you don't want it, because then you could end up adhering things where you don't want it and sealing things up. So the only place I'm using the liquid glue is on my background panel here, and I'm using the score tape to actually assemble my box. So this can be a little confusing here. Again, if I'm not very good at explaining it, I do recommend going over and checking out Jennifer's video. But what we're going to do is, once we get that panel in there and we get that one side adhered down to the inside of the card, on that big part that doesn't have the die cut, we're going to take some more adhesive, and that's going to wrap around to the back side of the card. So while we have it laying out here, we're going to take the adhesive off of our score tape here. Once I get that removed, and then we're going to fold over our colored panel, kind of like a trifold, and then we're going to fold everything over on top of itself and press that down really well, and you can see that it creates our little shadow box. I hope that helps. I'm not very good at explaining things when it comes to these kind of more interactive cards. I don't do a whole lot of interactive cards because I'm terrible at explaining how they go together. So I hope I didn't do too bad. I'm going to get right into the coloring here. All of my images were stamped with Copic friendly ink on Copic friendly paper, because I'm going to use my Copic markers, if you didn't guess already. So I'm going to put on some music for you to enjoy while we get through the coloring, and when we're all done, we'll get back to assembling our cute little shadow box scene. the coloring was finished, I used the coordinating dies to cut out all of these sweet little images. Now I'm going to go through and I'm going to add some highlight detail. This is a completely optional step. You are not required or have to do this. This is just what I personally like to do. I really think it jazzes up these characters and make them look even cuter, which I don't know if Lawn Fawn can get any cuter than these little bats. I just adore them. They are so, so cute, and I've seen so many amazing projects that people have created with these, and they're just so, so cute. I love them in all of the color varieties. I've seen them in like the cute purples and the browns, and I wanted to go with the little black ones because we do have bats that fly around here at our house. We have, I think there's about 3 of them that come out and they fly around, and you can see them as the sun goes down, and it's super cute. Adding the highlights to the little tree branches as well. I didn't end up using the smaller tree branch. I wanted to have it just as an option, just because I wasn't 100% sure exactly how I was going to kind of lay out my shadow box. But in the end, I'm glad that I used a larger one because I had room for my little spider that goes on there. And I love this little tarantula. I think he's really cute. Now that we have that ready, I'm going to go in and what am I doing? Oh, I'm adding highlights to their eyes. Again, I'm sorry if I sound like I don't know what I'm doing because I go through and I edit these after the fact. So I've created this card several days ago, so I don't remember exactly what I did. So as I'm watching it, I'm explaining what I'm doing. So now that I have all of my pieces together, we're going to go ahead and get to assembly. So this can be a little bit tricky. You could probably leave the box unassembled before you do all this, but I wanted to really see how it would look as I was going through this. So I do apologize if I get a little bit out of view here. I was trying my best to stay in view and, so you could see what I was doing. And I probably wouldn't have adhered this tree branch so close to the crease. Because whenever it folds down, it kind of got a little wonky, but it was okay in the end, and it turns out just fine. And I wanted my flying bats to actually look like they were flying, so I cut out some strips of acetate, or clear plastic, excuse me, and I'm going to adhere them to my little bats with some glue dots to make it look like they're actually flying, which I think is a really fun thing with these shadow box cards, is because you have that dimension and you have that ability to kind of create that illusion that they're actually flying, which I think is a lot of fun. I really wanted this little guy to fly from the top, but it didn't really work out too much with that branch. I probably could have moved the branch down a little bit more, and maybe put in another branch so it just didn't look like some random branch hanging out. But regardless, it's a cutesy card. It's not meant to be realistic. So I'm going to go ahead and get my other little bat adhered down here, and I couldn't decide where to put him. I put him on there, and then I didn't like the way that it looked, so I carefully peeled it apart and repositioned the glue dot so that it looks like he's actually hanging under the branch, not kind of on top of it. So, and you want to make sure that whatever adhesive you're using is only on your elements so that when the card closes, it doesn't accidentally glue your card shut. So really keep an eye on that as you're going through and putting on all of your little images. So I get a little spider put on there. I think he's so cute. I'm not really into spiders. Like my smallest boy, he loves the spiders. He loves looking at them. We get these little tiny ones that come in our house, like the little black jumping spiders, which people are keeping as pets now, I've noticed. He calls them Lucas the spider, and he's not afraid. He just likes to look at them from a distance, and he's not afraid. But then my other boy, he's absolutely petrified of spiders, so he sees them and he screams and goes running. So here I'm trying to get my one bat adhered to the bottom because I wanted it to look like he was flying across the sky having a good old time, and I couldn't really, it felt really empty on the one side. So I was trying to figure out the best way to get these little bats in here, and I definitely wanted to use all 3 of them. So I just kind of was playing around, and I do apologize that I am out of screen a bit here. And I just decided to move my little bat over a little bit more And once I add my other little elements and sequins and my greeting, it all kind of balances out just fine. So here's where I was trying to decide to get that little guy to float on that kind of background, but I decided that it just didn't work out, and I was just going to adhere him to the frame, and I felt like he looked really cute there as well. Kind of looks like he's kind of going off the, you know, the little shadow box, which I think is a fun element too. So here you can see how cute our scene's coming together, and this is where I thought maybe I could add that other branch, but I decided to nix it. Next, I'm going to do my greeting. I probably should have done this ahead of time, but I wasn't thinking. I was kind of flying by the seat of my pants at this point, and I totally forgot about a greeting. So I was like, okay, I'll just use the new FANGTASTIC Friends add-on set, which has this really cute banner in it, and the greetings fit perfectly in here. The greetings from the add-on and the actual FANGTASTIC Friends, they all fit in this little banner perfectly, which I love having these little banner dies, or these banner stamps, because they can be used for almost any card whatsoever. And I love that about Lawn Fawn, how they have lots of things that mix and match well together. Their designs go really well mixed together. So I'm just stamping that down with that same Copic friendly ink. I think this was MFT's Extreme Black ink, and I just put it on some Copic friendly paper, and I'm just going to color those in with my Copic markers. I'm going to be using E21, E23, and E25. Those are kind of my favorite go-to colors for any kind of like banners or signs or anything that is meant to be some sort of like a sign or a banner. I feel like it kind of lends itself to like that parchment paper or wood. Again, you could color this any color that you want. It would look cute as like a purple sign or even a green one. Oh, I could have done it in green. That would have looked cute for Halloween. Would have brought in some more of those Halloween colors. Oh well, I liked it as this nice little banner here. I could have distressed it a little bit, make it look a little bit more spooky for Halloween, but I'm not really into spooky Halloween. I'm into cute Halloween. I'm not sure about the rest of you. I am not a huge actual Halloween fan. I don't decorate for Halloween, and I don't like going out trick-or-treating. I take my children trick-or-treating because it's what they love to do, and I will support them in what they love to do. But I don't like Halloween. But I love making Halloween cards because they're so darn cute. I'm just going to adhere this banner down. I use the coordinating dies to cut that out, and I'm just going to attach it to the bottom of my card here, and it totally bothered me that it was crooked, and it is still crooked to this day, and I should fix it, but I'm not going to because it is a handmade card, and it is not meant to be perfect because perfection is overrated. So moving on from my OCD, I'm going to go ahead and add some of these Doris. Oh, they're not Doris. Maybe they're Pretty Pink Posh. I'll make sure I have something similar linked here. They could be Pretty Pink Posh. These silver stars. These are some of my favorite star embellishments. I use them for almost every occasion. Birthdays, Christmas, Halloween now. I don't think I've used them on any fall cards yet, but I think they're perfect for this card. These little bats are hanging out in the night, having a good old time, catching bugs and all sorts of things. And I think these little stars are the perfect addition to this card and to kind of help round it out. And kind of fill in some empty spots, those sorts of things. I probably went a little overboard with the stars, but I think they're cute. They go really well with this card, and you can never go wrong with a sparkly star. I mean, it's beautiful. It shines, it sparkles. It's just perfect. Once I had all of my little stars adhered down, I'm going to go in with my AQUA shimmer pen and add a little bit of shimmer to their little bat wings and to the greeting. And I'm also going to add a little bit of shimmer to the front of my card. I'm going to add it to the letters because they're outline letters, so the inside is empty. So I can add some shine to that as well. And I must have squeezed it because it came out super heavy, but that's okay. It's sparkly, and I love it. So I'm going to close that up, and I'm going to add a few stars on the outside just to tie everything together, because you know I love to make sure that everything goes well together. And once I get those stars on there, I'll add that shimmer to the Happy Halloween greeting. And that will finish up this card for today. If you liked the video, please consider hitting the like button to let YouTube know you're enjoying my content, as well as hitting the subscribe so you don't miss out on any more videos here at my YouTube channel. Hope you enjoyed coming along with me to create this fun shadow box card utilizing some great new products from Fawn. I hope you enjoyed this card as much as I do. I can't wait to use this design and some other ideas. I appreciate you all stopping by. I hope you have a fantastic day, and I'll see you again real soon. Bye!
On screen, I've got a few videos that I think you'll enjoy. Consider hitting the subscribe button so you don't miss out on any more videos at my YouTube channel.